not used to being in that dugout during the game.
Omar Infante takes the first pitch of the night outside for ball one. Infante just got back after 3 months on the disabled list with a fractured left hand. A valuable utility man playing second base tonight. With Infante and Martin Prado, Bobby Cox has two right-handed hitting versatile players who can play just about anywhere.
Well, Prado actually can play first base as he's playing tonight, but primarily a middle infielder. As you look at Levon, but Prado, this is his 17th game at starting at first base.
Of course, they now have Adam LaRoche back as their regular first baseman, but not playing tonight against the left-hander. 1-1 to Infante, and he pops one up in foul ground. Murphy over for a look, but that goes beyond his reach.
Well, the Braves, when they made the trade, they were really looking for another right-handed bat, Gary. They got a lot of lefties in the lineup, and they sat down LaRoche tonight because, you know, Perez is so tough on lefties. In the perfect world for the Braves, they would have loved to have gotten a right-handed power bat, but Adam LaRoche has just done a heck of a job since joining the ball club.
Of course, his second tour of duty with the Braves after spending just a couple of weeks with the Red Sox.
And adding Infante will only add to their 25-17 record against left-handed starters.
Infante pops another one out of play off the right side. Well, the Braves are in contention. They're 5.5 behind the Phillies. They're even closer in the wild card race, just 3 games behind Colorado. So Atlanta, after a rough beginning to their season, you go back to June 27th, the Braves were 6 games under 500 in 4th place. Since then, they're 28-16, the 4th best record in the major league.
And since the All-Star break, 19-10, which is the 3rd best in the major leagues.
1-2. And fouled again, and they've done it mostly through brilliant starting pitching.
I think they have the best rotation, 1 through 5, and the thing you have to look at really is that sometimes these players get a shot. Roger McDowell, their pitching coach, has been outstanding, but sometimes your team gets a shot when you bring up a rookie who's supposed to be great, and Tommy Hanson has been great.
8-2.
Well, they made the call of Hanson over Glavine, and it turned out to be the absolute right call. Infante gets under one to left field, and Sheffield is there waiting for it. And that's the first down of the night. And it's interesting because of the Red Sox having released John Smoltz, immediately the Braves and Frank Wren were asked, do you have any interest in bringing Smoltz back? And he said, oh, where would we put him?
Yeah. Well, and plus they are over the Maddox, Smoltz, Glavine era is done for these Atlanta Braves as they try to move along.
Absolutely. They've got, as you said, Gary, Ronnie, a fine starting 5.
So here is Prado, who was very questionable for this game tonight. He sat out the last couple of days because he experienced a sharp pain in the side of his head while batting on Saturday. And then he hit in the cage on Sunday and felt the same pain again. So they gave him a CAT scan and everything was negative. The doctors cleared him to play, and it was up to Prado to say whether he felt well enough, and he did, and so he's in the lineup tonight.
Well, Bobby Cox said in the papers down in Atlanta, boy, that he just couldn't afford to have this guy out of the lineup too long. He has had a heck of a year.
Hitting .310 on the season, playing just about every day, and he takes a strike 1-1.
I think if you ask most of the people with the Braves that follow them every day, he has been the MVP of their team. And the guy in deck's been the MVP almost all the other years.
Chipper got off to a great start, has not played as well the last couple of months. Prado pops one up. This one might be playable for Murphy. And Ollie's got the first 2 outs in the opening inning.
You know, to take it back really is you see Prado really walking back.
Yeah, it looks like he's in pain. So clearly whatever was bothering him with his head before appears to still be the case.
Well, there's a fastball to hit right there. Got beat. And there you can see him. Yep.
It's almost like he had vertigo or something as soon as he looked up.
The 2 buffering is not working.
It would be surprising after that to see Prado remain in the game after giving it a shot here in the first inning. Low and inside to Chipper Jones, 1-0. And you can see the concern in the dugout for Prado.
He's hurt.
And that's scary because this is something that for Prado came out of nowhere. It's not like he was hit or there was any kind of pre-warning of it. Good off-speed pitch by Perez, and it's one of them.
There's things over the course of the season, and I know Keith can speak to this much better than I can, being an everyday player. But we saw with Beltran, sometimes you have an injury, you never even know how you got it, or a bruise, or something, and it looks like the same for Prado.
You see Bobby Cox scribbling on his lineup card, so he's all set to make the change and pull Prado out of it. As Chipper fouls it off, and it's 1-2. We have seen far too many players having to deal with issues regarding their head over the last few days, whether it be David Wright or Hiroki Kuroda or Ian Kinsler, and now this with Prado, and it's a scary notion because it's not like any other kind of an injury.
No, he's definitely not feeling it, that's for sure.
Slider misses, and it's 2-2 to Chipper, who's hitting at 295. He was hitting as high as 355 a couple of months ago. Chipper now 37 years old. He's been nursing an oblique injury of late. And one thing after another with him the last few years. But he always seems to have a clutch hit in him when he plays the Mets, regardless of his physical condition.
Well, he's one of the great clutch hitters as you look at Martin Prado, who was out of this game.
It's almost like he's just trying to gather himself. Disappointing.
He should just get in an air-conditioned room and lay down.
It's a little scary, to be honest. 2-2, and Chipper fouls another one off. They've been late on Ollie's fastball early in this game.
They're making him throw a lot of pitches. They fouled a lot back.
And you see Chipper's career numbers against the Mets. Hit his first career home run at Shea Stadium and enjoyed playing there so much. He named his son after the ballpark. Doesn't plan to have any more kids, so you don't have to worry about naming a child City. Santos has to lunge for that one. 3-2. Ollie in his last start against Arizona allowed only 1 run in 5 1/3. How he did that is a miracle.
Yes. He has been the great Santini out there. Jeez, he has been on thin ice and manages to get the out. Gets himself in trouble with the walks, Ronnie.
6 hits and 6 walks in 5 1/3 in that game, but only the 1 run. 8th pitch of the at bat to Chipper Jones, and he takes it for a call, 3rd strike. So Oliver Perez with a 1-2-3 opening inning. Concern in the Braves dugout. Mets will come to bat, no score. Check out the Mets lineup tonight. Brought to you by Geico. Luis Castillo has been red hot since before the All-Star break. Gary Sheffield moving into the 3-hole with David Wright out, and you see the rest of the lineup. Mets made a player move today, calling up Wilson Valdez to replace Alex Cora on the roster, joining Andy Green, who was called up the day before. There you see Derek Lowe, the Braves starter tonight.
Well, still going strong. He's had quite a career. 138 wins, 114 losses, and also has 85 saves in his career when he was the closer for the Boston Red Sox.
Had a great start to his season, had a bit of a June swoon, but has really come on since as Angel Pagan leads off. Angel just 3 for his last 22. And hitting at .287 on the year. Last 7 starts, Lowe is 5-0, 2.91. So he is really in a groove now, along with the rest of that Atlanta starting rotation. Guy who yields very few home runs, a great ground ball pitcher, and he gets his first ground ball of the night. Omar Infante with a jumping toss to get Pagan for the first down. Beautiful play by Infante.
Boy, I'll say, Garrett, nice backhand, and then he knows he just has to leap like Derek Jeter with the speedy Pagan and just gets him by a half step. Nice play. And gives the first baseman the long hop.
You see it's Adam LaRoche playing first base. He came on for Martin Prado, who went down to the clubhouse after suffering another pain in his head during his at bat at the top of the first. So Bobby Cox has got to contend with that.
That's the old hats, the original Atlanta Brave hats when they came over back in the old Hank Aaron, Rico Carty days.
Here's Castillo, who has the highest on-base percentage in the majors since the 5th of July. .460 since July 5th. That's a month and a half now. I was not fond of the Atlanta lowercase a that they used during the 70s and 80s.
With that blue, too.
Yeah, the light blue.
That uniform was ugly, to be honest with you. There's David.
1-2 now to Castillo.
I have my good neighbors, the Kings, who have a farm near about a half mile from me. And they've got some chocolate chip cookies delivered by me from the Kings.
Did all the cookies from the Kings make it to David Wright?
Well, they gave me a batch, so they knew I'd rate it.
Your personal stash. You know, that's a problem because Russ Welkin, our stage manager, brought in black and white cookies today. Castillo serves one into left field, and the Mets have the first base runner of the night. Nicely done by Castillo for the first hit of the game.
Well, we're going to look at the Braves defense, and I'm going to point to Garrett Anderson out left. Most teams are playing Castillo in. He was not. You see Chipper Jones, 14 errors this season, tied for most in the major leagues by any third baseman. And of course, Adam LaRoche is at first base.
And that outfield with Anderson in left, Diaz, who's a left fielder playing right, and Church, who's a right fielder playing center. That's a vulnerability right now for the Braves.
It was a vulnerability at Turner Field the last time we were there, Garrett, at the corner outfield positions.
And of course, this is a huge outfield here at Citi Field as Gary Sheffield, the former Brave, steps in and takes a strike.
Agreed, though, that right field is more vulnerable than center field. Church is a fine outfielder, just maybe doesn't carry enough speed to be a major league center fielder every day.
And Diaz known more for his bat than his glove. 1-1 to Sheffield, who has 2 home runs in 19 career at-bats against Derek Lowe. 9 for 19 against this sinker baller. Lowe's a guy who's only given up 8 home runs in 150 innings this year.
Well, Gary likes that ball middle of the plate in. That's where most of the pitches are from Lowe.
Well, it's interesting with Lowe, the sinker baller, Ronnie. I mean, the right-handers are hitting .293 against them. The lefties you think would have a better average. They're only hitting .267. As a right-hand hard sinker baller, you think would be infinitely tougher on right-handers.
Leaves that one low and away, though, and Sheffield chases it 2-2.
His strength, though, is the sinker. This side of the plate is the toughest side of the plate for him. Easier side is on the left side of the plate against the left-handers. That's why he gets all those 4-3 ground balls from left-handed hitters.
You know, there's always been a difference in philosophy with pitching coaches regarding sinker ball pitchers. Some advocate them throwing to only one side of the plate, and others advocate what Lowe just did, working both sides of the plate. Double play ball to short, and Escobar to Infante and on to LaRoche to end the inning. Ollie Perez back to the mound for the second, no score. I know that was.
Pay my property.
Follow the Mets on your iPhone and iPod Touch with MLB.com at Bat 2009, featuring play-by-play, video highlights, and live audio broadcasts. Visit Mets.com on your iPhone or iPod Touch to purchase. Oliver Perez retired the Braves in order in the first inning. And he'll take on Brian McCann leading off in the second. With Adam LaRoche replacing Martin Prado in the lineup now for the Braves, Atlanta has 4 left-hand hitters among their 8 position players.
That's why I said it was an advantage to Ollie.
McCann has struggled all year against lefties, hitting just .207 against southpaws. .284 for the year. McCann had the difficulty early in the season with his eyesight because of contact lens issues, and eventually had to switch to the glasses.
You know, he has turned himself. When he first came up, you know, Keith, like myself, we want to watch a guy play for a while, and I was thinking, you know what, is he going to be able to withstand the punishment of catching all the time, which he has? He is a fine player. McCann is one of the best young players in the National League at that position. There's Terry Pendleton, the hitting instructor for the Atlanta Braves. Tough out in his own right.
One-time Met heartbreaker.
I think McCann also, when he first came up, had a little more weight on him and was soft. And he's really got his weight under control. He looks in really good shape.
Driven to center field. Pagan diving. And he made the catch. Beautiful play by Pagan.
Yes, he did. Beautiful is right.
Nice call by second base umpire Paul Nert. Just got that glove underneath that baseball. You'll see a lot of times in all fans that looks like that ball bounced before it got in the glove. Well, it kind of does. It hits the glove and then bounces into the pocket, and that's what happened there.
And Paul Nart waited to make sure that Pagan could take it out cleanly before making the out call. Nicely done by Pagan as that ball barely stayed up for him. One out, and Yunel Escobar the batter. And he drives one up the middle, and that's a clean base hit.
And there goes another Met no-hitter.
Awfully early. Take a look at the Coors Light freeze cap.
Well, you can see the ball comes right into the pocket and webbing of the glove. Nice play.
It's a beautiful shot.
It sure is, and it's a perfect night for that Coors Light freeze count.
Did you see that right hand coming in too, to try to make sure he got that second hand in case there was a bobble? I'd like to see that too.
He's no one-handed all-star.
There you go.
Right, Keith? There's Garrett Anderson. Anderson hitting a 282 in his first year in the National League, and he takes ball one. You talk about lefties who can hit lefties. Garrett Anderson against Oliver Perez, 3 for 6 with 2 home runs.
Garrett Anderson is got to a slow start with the Braves, and he impresses me. He stays in against the lefties, and he can go the opposite field.
Drives that one into right center. He's got himself a base hit. Hit it off the end of the bat. Escobar trying for third. Francoeur's throw, and he just beats it. Escobar appeared to hesitate coming around second base and then challenged his former teammate, and Francoeur almost got him, and Escobar a little bit lame as he made that slide.
Well, one thing that Francoeur does very well in the limited time that he's been here, Garrett, and you can see a proper call right there, is that he charges the ball very well and gets rid of it quickly. And he has this is a poor read by Escobar. He should have been realized that was in there all the way.
By the way, did Escobar pay attention during the middle part of the season, beginning part of the season, when his teammate was in right field? Man, oh man, you got to know that Francoeur is going to take a shot.
So now first and third and 1 out, and here's Matt Diaz. Diaz drives one to deep left field. Back goes Sheffield looking up, and it's out of here. Matt Diaz, first pitch swinging, 3-run homer, his 8th of the year, and he puts the Braves up 3-0. Diaz, who is in the major leagues for his ability to hit left-handed pitching, and he went right after Oliver Perez and parked one.
Well, Ollie always has to be careful with the right-handed bats in the lineup, and now with 4 in the lineup with the injury to Prado, he can pick his spots. Boy, first pitch, not in enough, and you know Diaz has just had a tremendous comeback season. He had an off year last year.
No, I think the key there, Keith, is that Matt Diaz has established himself in this league over many years that he is a first pitch fastball hitting fool. Can't wait to get that first pitch fastball.
Ryan Church, first pitch swinging, grounds one down to Murphy, and Ollie gets over to cover for the 3-1 putout.
Say that about me, I'll take offense.
What? Oh, no, he just looked so aggressive early in the count as Diaz, especially right against the left-handed pitcher.
Because that was a fastball hitting fool, too.
Not on the first at bat, though. You could always get away with one there.
True. So Diaz, I believe, had knee problems last year. This is a terrific comeback year for him. Got to a slow start this year, and boy, he's turned it on.
Also, last year they fancied him being an everyday player, and he didn't hit right-handers at all.
And I think in the case of maybe we could do a little Murphy comparison, he played so poorly in the outfield that I thought he brought it into his offense and put a little too much pressure.
Here's Derek Lowe. Lowe has 7 hits this year. Oh, and that lineup filled with left-handed bats now. Diaz provided the tonic against Perez and giving the Braves a nice chunk in the second inning.
Braves have been hot. Talked with Mike Krukow and Dwayne Kuiper last night after the game. When the Giants left, they were the TV guys for the Giants. They just came from Atlanta, where Atlanta had taken 3 out of 4 from them, had played them recently, and they thought Atlanta is the team to beat for the wild card.
Well, right now, the Braves have 3 teams in front of them in that wild card race: Rockies, the Giants, and the Marlins. And there are those standings up to the minute. Mets are 10 games back. Three and 2 to Derek Lowe. Well, Perez had given up 2 earned runs or less in each of his last 3 starts. Not tonight. Low down swinging to end the inning. Second strikeout for Perez, but one big swing by Matt Diaz puts the Braves in front. First and third, 1 out. First pitch fastball. Diaz's 8th of the year, and that takes Derek Lowe to a 3-0 lead. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Xerox, document services provider to the Mets. Xerox, ready for real business. Derek Lowe now stake to a 3-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the second. It'll be Daniel Murphy, Jeff Francoeur, and Fernando Tatis to bat for the Mets. Murphy hitting a .252 on the year.
Murphy swinging a good bat. He's had a good month.
And the walk-off hit on Sunday against the Giants. First of his career. And he hits this one up the middle, base hit. So Murphy gets the Mets started on the bottom of the second. Their second hit off Derek Lowe. And now here comes Jeff Francoeur, and of course he starts a conversation with Brian McCann. They've been buddies since they were little kids. Jeff, since joining the Mets on the 10th of July, leads them in hits, home runs, RBIs. He was brought here to be a complimentary player, but with everything that's gone on, he's been front and center. And another double play ball, but Escobar merely gets the out at second, and he got fortunate that he got that call. Paul Nard saying that he held the ball long enough and made the drop on the transfer.
I agree. He's in the process of making the throw.
But was the ball ever secure in his glove?
I don't like that call.
Well, but you see the Tom Hallion is blocked where he's standing. I mean, excuse me, that's Paul Howard. Yep, you can make an argument.
I guess the question is it's different when you're fielding a ground ball like that as opposed to handling a throw and then making the transfer, because a lot of second baseman in the middle of a double play won't actually catch the ball. The ball is bouncing out of the pocket and into their bare hand. But in that situation, does the ball have to be secured the same way it would when you're catching a throw at first base for an out?
The only thing that matters, Gary, is the umpire's call, and he thought so, and he's out. I mean, they could have gone either way.
I know what you say, but I think they're two distinct calls. The first call, when a guy receives a throw and is going to turn to double play, he can have a little leeway. On that play, personally, it's like Pagan's catch. I need to see that he has control of that baseball before he makes the throw. Again, though, Keith was talking about, we've seen more umpires blocked out from view of the actual play this year than ever before.
Fernando Tatis takes blown away, and it's 2-1. Joe West is the crew chief, and he's got the plate for today's game.
Cowboy Joe.
Tom Hallion, Paul Nard, who you've already been introduced to, and Paul Schreiber round out today's umpiring crew. Runner goes, hit down the right field line. Foul.
Jerry, I think, is going to see a lot. We're going to see a lot of hit and running with this lineup now. Not a lot of power. Going to have to try to manufacture runs.
And Keith, isn't that the revelation? The revelation is that if you had a different kind of lineup, there is absolutely no way you're hitting a run 3 runs down. You would play for a little bigger hit, but here you can't do it.
It's a little different lineup without Beltran hitting third. Delgado hitting fourth or right fifth.
To go back to that play one more time, the only other thing I think about, I don't know if the umpire would think about, Gary and Keith, is that what Escobar is trying to do, he's trying to rush with that play to get 2 outs instead of 1, and I would personally factor that in on the reason that there was the juggling of the ball.
Not to pile on, but I think one more comment as an infielder. A lot of times when the ball is bouncing and it's around the base, it can be a distraction. And I think that's why he didn't field it cleanly.
Again, Francoeur takes off, and Tatis fouls it away.
Is this Francoeur against his buddy saying, I can steal the base on you?
Yep. That's why he came up throwing, too, in the right field.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Those guys take this very seriously.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. And one time in this game that McCann's going to get a ball outside corner, and he's going to fire a ball down to first base, too.
Fouled at the plate. Romeo Santos sitting 7th in the order, waiting on deck. Francoeur has 5 stolen bases this year. He's been caught 3 times. There he goes again. And again, Tatis fouls it away. And Francoeur getting a workout. Here's the Coors Light freeze cam on that play at second base.
Oh, he came across with his glove hand, and I tell you what, he did not have that. Is, Your Honor, Exhibit A.
That's not an out.
No, that's not an out.
The ball was rolling around in his glove the entire time. But I think for a lot of second base umpires, that's become an automatic call. It enables them to split the baby and make everybody a little happy.
Well, when they allude to things this winter and they want to talk about things that could change, that would be a play they should watch.
This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Tatis. Francoeur tired of running. And Fernando fouls it off. It's enough already, right?
No, he's just catching his breath.
Maybe he'll go on the next one. Tatis just 1 hit in his last 12 at bats, playing third base now on a regular basis with David Wright out. And the slider low and away, 3-2 to Tatis.
Well, Francoeur probably in motion now. And I think that Lowe will kind of rush that pitch, Ronnie, a little bit, and got a little bit too worried about Francoeur, and you got a hitter up there.
10th pitch of the at-bat upcoming. Francoeur runs, and Tatis grounds one down to LaRoche for the second out as Francoeur takes second.
I'll tell you what, very fortunate for the Braves and Derek Lowe right there, because how many balls have we seen Tatis hit down the right field line in the ground? And by the way, you know, LaRoche didn't even come off the bat. That should have been a double.
By the way, if you were playing, that would have been a double.
That would have been a double. Absolutely.
I don't know.
Is that artwork?
It's the reflection of the scoreboard in the glass on the Acela Club. And Francoeur is picked off. Paul Nart with the call, his second of the inning. Francoeur thought he had gotten back. Brian McCann not even involved. Look at Escobar letting everybody know. And Francoeur called out as Lowe picks him off. Coors Light freeze cam getting a major league workout.
Well, it's hot.
see the glove and the hand not to the bag.
Oh, good call.
Certainly looks like it.
I tell you what, that Coors Light freeze cam is right on tonight.
So Paul Nart is 2 for 3 tonight. Omar Infante leads off the third. Flight out to left to open up the ball game.
That's like a really good mirror. Reveals a lot of flaws, doesn't it? That Coors Light freeze cam. Whew.
Infante's played very little because of the broken hand that sent him to the disabled list, but in that brief playing time this year, hitting .372 against lefties. Ronnie mentioned it earlier. The Braves have had remarkable success this year against left-handed starters, 25-17. In fact, there's only one other major league team this year that has a larger discrepancy between their winning percentage against lefties and their winning percentage against righties, and that's Florida. 2-2. And that doesn't necessarily figure because the Braves are a fairly left-handed team.
Well, Anderson is a 300 hitter kind of guy, so he's going to hit righties and lefties. He's going to move the train along. Kelly Johnson has not been playing as often, so Prado has played a bigger role.
You know, Prado, that last series in Atlanta, if you recall, Gary, he had a tough series defensively. And I asked around, and they said that he's better defensively than Kelly Johnson.
Shallow right. Frank Courier to call. And that retires Infante, 1 away.
Kochman, who has played a lot of first base for them before he was traded, is another kind of 300 hitter kind of guy who will spray the ball around and hit left-handers well, even though it's a lefty-lefty matchup.
Well, the Braves decided to bring back Adam LaRoche and trade Casey Kochman to the Red Sox, which looked like kind of a coin flip deal, but Adam LaRoche has come back, and as he did for the Braves a couple of years ago, has gotten off to a terrific start.
Well, I think LaRoche just loves Atlanta. That's where he started. And, you know, he was disappointed when he was traded to the Pirates. He was crushed.
And it worked both ways. I talked to Terry Francona recently about Kochman. They love him in Boston so far with what he's been able to give them.
And it seemed, for whatever reason, and you never know how these things work chemistry-wise, that it just wasn't panning out for Kochman in Atlanta. And LaRoche seems to have been a better fit. By the way, Adam LaRoche's Boston career, reminiscent of your career in Montreal.
Oh, yeah. No one could have been that bad.
Well, I'm just talking about the brevity.
Oh, brevity. Oh, jeez. I made my mark in a very negative way at Montreal.
Well, they loved you there. You spoke French.
I know. Well, that was the only good part about my stay there. The problem was I was giving up 3 home runs a game. That became a little bit of a problem.
How long did you last?
About 2 weeks, 10 days.
They got rid of you?
Yeah.
Oh, don't feel bad.
Yeah. Well, I was good. El Presidente, Dennis Martinez, threw a perfect game, so that's what they consider good pitchers to do, and mine were less than perfect.
2-2 to LaRoche, and he rockets one deep down the right field line, right toward the pole, and it's out of here off the Pepsi porch.
Wow.
Adam LaRoche crushing it. His 18th home run of the year. 5 of them in 47 at-bats since rejoining the Braves.
And it should not have been in this ball game. Wasn't in the starting lineup.
Came on when Martin Prado suffered a recurrence of the headaches that have been plaguing him, and LaRoche makes his mark. Puts a little dent in the Pepsi Max sign to make it 4-0.
Boy, rotate. Down and in, I bet you. Oh, down and over the middle. That's Wheelhouse City. And yes,
Max indeed.
Well, this is not. As we look at the IOTV pitch differential, boy, Santos is middle of the plate, and people at home are saying to yourself, why is he sitting in the middle of the plate? He's catching a young man that sometimes has trouble hitting the corners, so they're hoping that if he sits in the middle, the ball will travel to each corner. That one did not.
That reminds me of our pitching staff with Sid Fernandez, but it was Sid. It was because his ball moved so much that Gary Carter just said, I had to set up right down the middle because Sid's ball moved every direction all the time.
I'm certain this isn't a baseball axiom, But isn't it always the case that a guy that comes in the game who's not supposed to be playing ends up having a big day?
It seems that way, doesn't it? Chipper Jones gets under one. And Angel Pagan tracking it. Ooh, almost let that one get away. 2 out. Like Angel was a little unsure about that ball all the way.
So Statman Dave gave me my numbers in Montreal.
Oh no! You don't have to read them.
Yeah, he didn't even get it all how bad it was. Yes, I'll read them. I love that. I don't have problem with this. I'm comfortable with my mantle. I'm fine. 0-2, 7.41 ERA, 3 starts. I made 17 innings. That's not horrible. It stayed out there a long time.
These days, 17 innings and 3 starts, you've done your job.
That was embarrassing then, though, I'll tell you. But I know one game against San Francisco in Montreal, 3 home runs, 2 to Matt Williams.
Breaking ball, and it's 1-1 to McCann.
25 hits in 17 innings. Jeez. I'm gonna have to trade you too.
They had a kind of a slow defense, Keith. They couldn't get around on that carpet.
He was better once he got to Oakland.
There you go.
That one's ripped to right, but right at Frank Core, who makes the grab on his old buddy. So McCann retired to end the inning, but they're hitting some shots against Oliver Perez. Most recently, Adam LaRoche. 5 homers and just 47 at-bats as a Brave, 18 for the year. Bang, and it's 4-0 Atlanta. Braves with a couple of long home runs lead the Mets 4-0 as we go to the bottom of the 3rd. Let's take the view from the Pepsi porch with Kevin Burkhardt.
Good news is, Gary, got a little breeze up here tonight, so I think this is the place to be on this humid evening. You know, you really get to appreciate Johan Santana sometimes for the simple things. I mean, we get to see his greatness on the mound every time he pitches, but spent a lot of time with him today in the Mets clubhouse, just talking about a lot of different things about the game. And I started asking him who taught him to play the game and play the game correctly. And he said, well, for me to play the game correctly, it's easy because I love it. I love what I do, and there's no reason not to go out and give 100% effort. It's easy. And then we got into this situation about Saturday, about when Wright got hurt, and then his retaliation, of course, throwing at Sandoval and at Molina. And he said, look, everyone made a big deal of it. To me, I wasn't doing anything that you weren't supposed to do. I'm playing the game the right way, whether that's running hard, whether that's protecting your teammates. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I just go out and play the game the right way. And although, guys, that's a simple thing to say, I think when it comes from him, you just appreciate it because he doesn't take it like it's work. To him, that's how it should be every day, all the time. And I think being around him, you just appreciate that a little bit. Guys, back to you.
And I think watching him, I think we all appreciate the way he plays the game.
That's why the umpire doesn't say work hard, he says play ball. And no one does it better than Mr. Santana.
Santos fighting it right now, just 2 for his last 21. And Ronnie, obviously over the last couple of days, Keith and I and Ralph, who was here on Sunday, spoken a lot about David Wright getting hit and the aftermath with Santana going after Sandoval and eventually hitting Molina. What's your perspective as a pitcher?
Well, there was it's really transformed over my career and now into this part of the game now in 2009. When I played, it was in charge of the pitcher, and it was part of your machismo that if one of your hitters got hit and you knew it was obvious, the next inning you hit someone on the other team. then if you had even a better shot and the pitcher was coming up, because, you know, the players didn't do anything, it was the pitcher. It was even better to drill the pitcher, to let him know and let your teammates know that this guy who just hit you is going to pay every single time he does that. Then it got into the hands of the manager, and it's changed completely since then. Now it is, you hit my best player, we're going to wait to have a shot to hit your best player.
Big hop for Escobar, throws out Santos.
And I think the thing we're missing in this is that now it's transformed, it's in the hands of the umpires. And now when someone gets hit, the umpires, because, and I won't blame the umpires, because they have an edict from on high that they are supposed to stop any kind of confrontations on the mound. So when they sense or smell that something bad has happened, that's when they warn both the benches. What we're forgetting about is that these warnings in April and May and June that don't allow teams to retaliate within the game, these all add up. And that's why you get to August and you have some really bad feelings. And that's why you have a guy like Kevin Youkilis out of nowhere getting drilled and sustaining a 5-game suspension, because he's been hit all year by that team and he just snapped. And snapping is part of this game.
I thought that considering the constraints that are put on the umpires in terms of issuing warnings, that in that particular circumstance on Saturday, that Brian O'Nora handled it pretty well, because he could have ejected Santana when he hit Molina, but he recognized that there didn't appear to be any intent on that pitch.
And that's the hardest thing for an umpire. I mean, these umpires work very hard. As we see Hernandez making out, ground ball to first baseman LaRoche. They work awfully hard in minor leagues for seasons and seasons and seasons, but not all of these umpires ever played the game at a high level. So to ask them to try to interpret what is happening between athletes at a high level, I think is a very difficult thing to ask.
I was shocked that there wasn't, what I've seen over the years since they've issued the warnings, is an automatic ejection no matter what. I was shocked that he wasn't run.
To tell you how the game has changed, in 1984, there was a doubleheader against the Cubs. I pitched the first game, we lost. Ed Lynch pitched the second game. There was a lot of bad blood in the first game. Eddie drilled Keith Moreland in the second. Keith Moreland came out. There were hats everywhere. Guys were fighting for 25 minutes. 26 minutes later, Moreland was on first base. Eddie Lynch threw the pitch to the plate. He's still in the ball game.
And that would never happen today.
Never, right? The second game of the doubleheader, Zimmer was the manager. My first at bat against Scott Sanderson, he was told to drill me. And Scott missed me 4 times. He missed me. He tried to hit me, but he missed me.
There's history of that here.
He didn't want to hit me. But Scott was a nice guy, you know.
So was Sean Estes. Perez grounds one slowly out to Infante. A 1-2-3 inning for Derek Lowe on 3 ground balls. We head for the 4th at Citi Field. 4-0 Atlanta. Holy cow.
Was it a bull market?
That's up in the promenade on top of the rotunda. One of many cows scattered around the city, especially here in Queens. Here's your upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. If you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Yunel Escobar pops one into shallow left, and Sheffield comes on to grab it. One pitch and one retired in the top of the fourth. There are 11 unique cows being featured in Cow Parade, the world's largest public art event, launched in January in Flushing in celebration of the Chinese Year of the Cow.
Year of the Cow, exactly.
The things that you learn at the ballpark.
We got to thank the people from the Crossing Art Gallery in Queens. They are responsible for the cows. What are you, Keith? Do you know your Chinese symbol?
No, I don't. I only know my scorpion, my zodiac.
Zodiac sign.
I believe I was Year of the Dog.
He's out of dog days.
Murphy with the overhand toss, and Ollie the stumbling grab. And is he okay? Grimacing somewhat. And that's going to bring assistant trainer Michael Herbst out. Ollie waves him off and starts jogging back to the mound and says, "I'm fine."
Well, a little bit of a down throw to Ollie. Not really that bad a throw.
But Ollie's doing what he's supposed to, bust over there.
That's not that bad a throw. He just got tangled up.
When you get tangled up, Keith, you're supposed to tango on.
That's not a bad throw.
Well, I guess because he had to stop for it. Is that why he got tangled?
I think sometimes you just get like you don't not in the right footsteps to get to the bag in the right way. So you kind of stumbled a little bit, but was able to touch the bag with a glove.
And Jerry Manuel erring on the side of caution, making sure that Ollie throws a warm-up pitch to prove he's okay.
Well, when a first baseman's that far away, Gary, you can't underhand it. You've got to throw it over the top. And I always thought of myself as a quarterback throwing a look-in pass, a little down and in. You try to lead, and you try to get it to the pitcher as furthest away from the bag as possible, so he can catch it, and then he has time to look at the bag.
And as the guy running over there, I'll tell you, always err on above the waist, not below the waist.
Exactly.
Here's Matt Diaz, who has the biggest hit in this game, a 3-run homer in the second inning. That opened the scoring tonight. If Ronnie wants the ball above the waist, does he need to show the first baseman a target, or is that not?
It's always nice to have a target. Always nice to have a target. I always used to say I would look at the pitcher at the point of release, and my eye would be right where he was fixed, his position.
Oh, beautiful diving stop by Tatis. Can he get him? No. Well, that's a great stop by Tatis, but Diaz hustling was able to beat it out.
Diaz showing some pretty good speed here. Nice play by Tatis. Gets up quick. I'm surprised the quickness of Diaz to get down there and beat that ball. Nice play.
So an infield hit for Diaz, his second hit of the night. 5 hits now off Perez, and here comes Ryan Church, who grounded out to Murphy his first time up. Diaz runs, he's picked off. Murphy's throw gets through Hernandez, and he's shaken. On to third goes Diaz, and Anderson Hernandez is hurt. Looked like he took that ball right off the clavicle.
You saw Diaz go inside the line, and I was wondering if he was going to make a call of interference.
Did he shield him maybe, huh?
And I think he got in the way and blocked his view. He's okay.
Just stunned.
I thought it got him clavicle and then maybe a little bit in the windpipe.
Well, watch Murph. Murph comes in and cuts the angle down. Now look at Diaz come inside. You could have called him out for interference.
It hit his helmet. That's why.
Yep, deflected off his helmet.
That's.
Can you call him out there? He's on the grass.
That's an interference call.
Interference.
Absolutely. You can run inside the baseline. You cannot run halfway on the grass. Not halfway, but on the grass.
That's absolutely.
That's interference.
Yep. And I can't believe that Paul Nard, who's been involved in almost every call in this game, won't see it.
First base umpire could have made that call too. He had a good angle. Tom Hallion. Is that going to be an error or stolen base or what?
They called that a caught stealing. Assist to the pitcher, and error on Murphy.
Tough error for Murph.
So Diaz winds up at third. First pitch to Church is taken up and in for ball one. I mean, Murphy's been very aggressive about stepping onto the infield grass and getting the best angle that he can. And you're allowed as a runner to cut down the angle, but not like that.
Murphy did everything right. It was interference out of the baseline. Should have been called. A no call again.
Well, that makes Nard 2 for 4. The fourth inning, the second baseman's already had 4 tough calls to make. That'll never happen.
Well, he's had a tough one.
Made a good call on the Pagan catch and a good call on the Francoeur pickoff.
Well, this is a nice angle right here. Murph cutting the angle down. You can't really tell he's on the grass at this angle, but you can definitely see this shot off his helmet. But you know, the first base umpire, how Tom Hallion could have come in and looked at that too and made the call.
2-2 now to Church. So let's take stock. This inning we've had Ali stumble and need attention from the trainer. We've had Anderson Hernandez take one off the collarbone and require attention from the trainer. It's in keeping with the spirit of the year, isn't it? 3-2 to Church.
Well, Anderson Hernandez is lucky that ball didn't ricochet and hit him in the face.
Well, Anderson is due to be the primary shortstop the rest of the season now, assuming that Jose Reyes doesn't make an unexpected return. Now that Alex Cora is out for the year. 3-2 to Church. Breaking ball hit past the mound, but Castillo is there to play it. And that retires the side. So a couple of bizarre plays in the inning, but everybody remains standing at the end of it. Hey, look, that's the Braves bullpen. 4-0 Atlanta.
Welcome back to Citi Field. Tough night so far for Oliver Perez. Braves on top of the Mets in this one. And, you know, Mets have had some trouble with their pitching lately, but I'm sitting with a guy who I think could help with that down the road. Mets signing their top pick last night, Steven Matz from Ward Melville High School. Congratulations to you, Steven.
Thank you.
What was it like, you know, number one, getting selected by the Mets, and then number two, you know, negotiations coming down to the wire last night, and the deal finally got done?
Well, after it came down to the wire, it was like taking 150 pounds off my shoulders, knowing that the deal's finally done and could finally start playing again.
You know, you can tell, you can't tell sitting here, but guys, Steven is a big guy, 6'4", so you know you're a big left-hander. Give me the scouting report. Tell the fans what they can look forward to from you when they see you on the mound.
I usually work guys with my fastball, and then work off my changeup and my curveball for the strikeout pitches.
I mean, you're what is this like for you today? I mean, you're on the field with a Mets jersey on. I mean, you're just getting out of high school here. I mean, this is tell me about the experience and what it's been like today.
Yeah, it's almost like surreal. Like everything's really starting to settle in. Like before, when all the media was in my face, like 150 cameras pointing at me, it was really setting in now.
As you sit here behind home plate, can you envision yourself on that mound one day? Are you thinking about that?
Yeah, definitely.
What is the thought like? What do you feel like when you're out there?
Kind of get like tingles in my body, like I'm ready to do it right now.
You know, you grew up a Met fan. I mean, you went to Ward Melville High School. It's Pagan off of low, and no planes, and Pagan will be safe. So you grew up a Met fan. So who was your favorite player? Tell me about growing up as a Met fan.
It was good. I was just a baseball fan. I loved baseball. I watched all the games, but I wasn't like a die-hard Met fan. I would always, you know, root for the Mets. But whenever baseball's on, I just watch it. But yeah, like my grandma, my family were huge Met fans. I just love baseball in general. I love the Mets too. Just kind of following the tradition. But I didn't have any particular player. I love Johan now.
Yeah, good guy to root for. Well, Steven, congratulations on the contract. Look forward to seeing you up here with the big club soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Steven Matz, guys, concerned now for Derek Lowe on that liner. Back to you.
Is there a full moon, a black cloud? What is going on? Another player. This is the fourth player who's required medical attention already tonight. It's only the fourth inning. Off the wrist of the base of the hand of Lowe.
That usually is, if it just misses the glove, usually gets the meaty part, but it looks like he's saying it hit him in the pinky there. I mean, that should be fine for a pitcher. You just wrap it up and go because it's in the glove. But, you know, a little disconcerting.
Looked after that ball deflected as though Escobar had a play on it, but he was unable to handle it. Pagan wound up with an infield hit.
We have more infielders who do not realize they are not Omar Vizquel and refuse to catch the ball with a glove. He's the only one I know that makes that play all the time.
He could have fielded it with his glove and made the play. Here it is again. And you see Escobar coming in here. He just made up his mind from the get-go. And
you know how sometimes it happens, Keith, on the glove, on the very end of it, sometimes it can like pull your little finger off if you catch it right off the end. That looks like what it might have happened to Derek Lowe.
So the Mets have the leadoff man on in the fourth inning. The infield hit for Pagan. And now Castillo, who served a base hit to the left his first time up. Well, Steven Matz may be a big kid, 6'4". Facially, looks like about 12.
Yeah, I think he shaves a little less than us three up here in the booth.
Well, he's 18 years old, out of Ward Melville High School in East Setauket, out in Suffolk County.
When I was watching him pitch, I don't know about you guys, I mean, that's two pitches I saw. He looked like a young Barry Zito, the way he kind of rocked back and sent the ball through to the plate.
That's what's sell for that.
Yeah, it was. It would.
Well, Garrett Anderson out in left field is still, I think, a little bit, a tad too deep. And Chipper, of course, has got to be covering that potential drag bunt. He's in at third.
2-1 to Castillo. He continues to be patient, work quality at bats. Has the batting average up to .304 with his first inning single. On base percentage now approaching .400. Toward the hole, a base hit. Pagan will go first to third. And the Mets have runners at the corners and nobody out. And Castillo is 2 for 2.
Well, there's a case where LaRoche, the inning before, didn't come off the bag and prevented a double. And this time, he didn't come off the bag, and it was a base hit.
Runs inside pitch on Derek Lowe. Part of the business of baseball, brought to you by Xerox, ready for real business.
Well, it's one of the reasons he's given up 4 hits already. Aggressive to a fault. He just pumps in strike after strike. Fearless and rotation leader. He's just the kind of guy that's been through the wars. An all-star, 85 saves, so he's pitched late in the game. Also has won World Series game. And I believe top-of-the-line sinker, which goes around with Brandon Webb when he's healthy, Halladay, and people like that.
Sheffield toward the gap in right center. That'll go all the way to the wall. Pagan scores. Castillo racing for third. He's being waved home by Razor Shines. A 2-run double for Gary Sheffield. And the Mets are on the board. It cuts the Braves lead to 4-2.
Well, Chef going the other way. That's what I think Chef has gotten away from against right-handers. He's tried to pull too much against the righties this year, and he can go that way. And they've just been feeding him stuff outside corner. And Luis gets a quick read right there, and he's going to score on the backside here.
Still nobody out. Now the tying run at the plate. Murphy takes a slider for ball 1. So all of a sudden, Derek Lowe, after taking that ball off his pinky, has given up 2 straight hits.
It was the ILTV pitch differential. The only difference is outside, and it's a little bit up. And Sheffield, you have to be mighty strong to hit the ball like that with your weight going to left field and still drill it to right center field. Sheffield now what, 10 for 21, Gary? And now the couple RBIs off Derek Lowe.
Well, you have to force Lowe to get the ball off, and that's what Gary did. Murphy singled up the middle his first time up.
Well, steady diet of sliders here. Murph got him in the first inning with the fastball.
Three straight hits to start the inning. And Murphy pulls one foul, 2-2. Chad catches every ball.
He does.
Never misses.
Gold glove. He's going up for the gold glove with the ball dudes in San Francisco.
By the way, he gets so much airtime he's going to have to join the union.
That's right.
That with aplomb. He knows the Karam's in right field as well as Frank Gore.
He's not supposed to fraternize with the fans, is he?
Absolutely. That's part of the job, Keith.
Murph just got a piece to stay alive.
I saw something yesterday talking about a foul ball. Sorry, Gary. I saw Josh Hamilton hit 2 foul balls in the second deck at the stadium, Arlington Stadium, caught by the same young man, about a 10-year-old.
No.
2 in a row.
Wow.
You've never seen that my entire life. I've seen people catch 2 within the course of the game, especially when the stadiums are empty. 2 successive balls in a row.
Did he share?
He shared and became a big popular item.
Gets away just briefly from McCann. Sheffield not going to chance it on that balky leg, especially with nobody out. So Lowe struggling here. And we've seen this a couple of times from Lowe this year. He gets into these ruts. Last time the Mets faced him in Atlanta, he managed to get his way through 6 innings in position to win, even though he didn't have great stuff that night.
You make a great point. He's a streaky pitcher. He's one of those guys that can retire 16, 17 in a row, and then another guy who can just labor through innings, because his stuff at this point, to me, in his career, when it's not its sharpest, you have a lot of at-bats like Murphy here. A lot of balls fouled off, a lot of good pitches fouled off.
Already had a 10-pitch at-bat earlier against Tatis. Murphy's about to see the 8th pitch of this at-bat. And he bounces another one foul. Murph getting his money's worth and building up Lowe's pitch count. Sheffield with a 2-run double. Sheffield now with 43 runs batted in for the year.
There's some youngsters at the ball game.
They're leading the pack. To the right side, that'll advance Sheffield. So a productive out for Murphy. Sheffield now at third with 1 away.
Good tough at bat by Murph.
So a chance for Frank Court to get the Mets to run closer. Jeff reached on a fielder's choice in the second inning. That had an active time on the bases.
Interesting that Baroche at first is playing kind of halfway. No clue why he's doing that. He's kind of in nowhere's land right there. And everybody else is back.
You'd be back, wouldn't you, with a 1-run lead, 2-run lead, maybe?
Absolutely. Unless the manager told me to come in.
He'd still back up a little.
You didn't always listen to your manager, did you?
I always listened.
Yeah.
I was a grunt. They were the boss.
61 into the fourth. Now that's not awful if he's out of the inning. That's 15 per inning, but still 2 outs to go.
It's also not a great ball strike ratio for him. Low, a guy who averages less than 3 walks per 9 innings. Has not walked a batter so far tonight. Frank Court hits one to left center deep. Back goes Church to the track, and it's over his head and off the base of the wall. Sheffield in to score. A long double for Frank Court cuts the Braves lead to 4-3. And the Mets are hitting some balls very hard against Derek Lowe. 57 runs batted in for Frank Court.
Right down the pike here. Oh boy.
Home run in most ballparks in the National League, but not this one. So now the tying run at second with 1 out. Tatis grounded out to first base his first trip, and he takes one on the outside corner at the knees.
And the IOTV pitch differential, you can see right there. That just splits. Well, don't worry about the little bend there. It was, trust me, it's right down the middle.
Split with a wiggle. 4 hits in the inning. 3 of the 4 have been hard hit against Lowe. And that one's in toward the home base hit. Frank Court turning 30. He's heading on home. Anderson makes the throw to the cutoff man, and the Mets have tied the game. Fernando Tatis with the game tying hit. It's 4-4.
Little slider and just stayed flat, Ron, and it stays on the same plane. It's a whole different program for a hitter. Didn't get it away enough. But this all happened with, there's the contact right there, and that's got too much plate.
And I think what we're going to see from Razor Shines and the New York Mets, any ball into the left field, and Garrett Anderson, they're going to be very aggressive on his arm.
Well, and I think in general, Razor's getting much more aggressive now. He's got to. This is a team really bereft of power right now. They have to take every chance. Chris Medlin, the long man up in the Atlanta bullpen, as Lowe has given up 5 hits and 4 runs here in the 4th inning and let a 4-0 lead get away. Now Omir Santos, who grounded out to short his first trip, still only 1 out of the inning. Santos, the 7th man up. Takes a strike on the inside, 0-1. There's Medlin, the young right-hander.
Like this fight in the Mets, you usually don't see a guy lose way against a starter like Lowe.
Time called at first base as they try and clear some of the dirt off there. I think Tatis slipped on the bag as he was coming back in on that last pickoff toss.
Well, he slipped on the base hit too, rounding it, believe it or not. So,
you know what I think he's doing, Gary? He's putting dirt on the bag. Yeah. Just like those Ridgefield roads sometimes in the winter.
Shallow right center. On comes Church. Sliding. Can't make the play. Tatis heads for third. The 6th hit of the inning belongs to Omir Santos. And now the go-ahead runs at third with only 1 out. we talked about Ryan Church, good outfielder, but maybe not a center fielder.
Well, you're talking about a ground ball pitcher and low, and he's giving up a lot of balls in the air here, a big ballpark. We talked about the outfield defense here. The corner outfield position's definitely suspect. Church, not a center fielder, just doesn't get to this ball, and the Mets are taking advantage.
And you made a good point, Keith. The pitch before to Tatis, similar pitch there to Santos. You have to have some kind of angle on that slider. Lowe's slider tonight, very flat.
Very good base running by Tatis. Great read on that ball to advance to third.
6 hits in the inning, matching a season high for the Mets. Now Anderson Hernandez with the go-ahead run at third and only 1 out. Hernandez grounded out to first base his first trip. It all started with Angel Pagan's infield hit off the glove of Derek Lowe, and Lowe suffered a little bit of a hurt on that left hand, and nothing has gone right for him since. Castillo followed with a hit through the hole. Sheffield a long double for 2 runs. Here's that first at bat of the inning.
Ronnie, you think an injury to the glove hand could affect a pitcher's command?
I would hope that a guy with this kind of experience, that wouldn't be the problem. Looking at him breathing, though, extra hard, redness in the face, to me, tells me he's gassed out here in this long inning. Just trying to find some air.
27 pitches in this inning, and there's a backdoor breaking ball for a strike. 1-2 to Hernandez. Sheffield drove in 2 with a double. Frank Court doubled off the base of the fence at distant left center for a run, and then Tatis's hit tied it. Santos' bloop single in front of Church, moving Tatis along to third, and Hernandez stays alive, barely.
These are the games as a starting pitcher that you always say to yourself, boy, I'm going to have a big start. I better make sure I physically condition myself in between starts. Can't do it. These are the starts that all the work you did in April and May and June, they pay back on these starts on Monday nights.
Hit toward the hole, base hit, and the Mets take the lead. Anderson Hernandez with the 7th hit of the inning. The Mets have put a 5 spot up in the bottom of the 4th and lead it 5-4.
Slider here, wants it down and in. Too much of the middle. Nice hitting by Hernandez. Just out of the reach of Infante. I've got too much play. Down, but over the middle.
8 batters up in the inning, 7 hits, 5 have scored.
And think about it this way, because of the headaches from Martin Prado, you had to bring Adam LaRoche into the ballgame. A depleted bench for Bobby Cox. Lowe's the first hitter up in the next inning, trying to get out of this inning with his starting pitcher.
Now Oliver Perez trying to move the runners. Fouls off the bunt attempt. Oliver, the 9th man to bat in the inning. Angel Pagan, who started things, is now on deck.
Well, these games are so important for the Braves. Gosh, they're in the hunt in the wild card and get a 4-0 lead and let it slip away.
Especially with the starting pitching they've been getting over the last couple of months. A 4-run lead has generally been money in the bank for the Braves. But the Mets scrapping back here in the 4th. And Ollie takes a pitch which was where? Sure looked like a strike. There again on those wild card standings in the National League. Every game crucial for the Braves. 3 games out with 3 teams in front of them. One and 2 now to Perez.
And in that National League West that's assured a month ago with those Dodgers, Rockies are pushing them right now, and luckily the Dodgers get back their ace pitcher, I would believe, Chad Billingsley, pitching tonight.
They'll be facing the Cardinals tonight in LA. A hot Cardinal team. They've won 5 straight to open up a 6-game lead over the Cubs. You have to assume the bunt's still on here. No, he lines one into right field, a base hit. Santos will be held at third. 8 hits in the inning. Oliver Perez joins the parade.
Well, I think that'll get a manager out of the dugout and make a pitching change.
I mean, you would figure in a double play situation, dollars to donuts, you're going to still have your pitcher bunt, but not Jerry Manuel.
Still throwing that flat slider, Keith. He's hurt every single time.
What an inning the Mets have put together. 9 batters, 8 hits, and still only 1 out. Will they keep going with Lowe? McCann killing some time on the mound. Well, Bobby Cox appearing to stay put. Medlin is ready in the bullpen. But Lowe will face Angel Pagan, who led off this inning with an infield hit off Lowe's glove. Look at that face. Drenched in sweat.
That's definitely a change of shirt.
Pagan is 1 for 2. Robbed of a base hit on a great play going up the middle by Infante his first time up. Santos now at third, Hernandez at second, and Perez at first. Still only 1 out. One and 1 to Pagan.
See the defense right there in at third base. Back at first and shading Pagan to the opposite field in the outfield.
Pagan has a grand slam this year. He hit that batting right-handed. Grounds this one to second. Should be 2. Infante to Escobar at the front of first. Not in time. A run comes in. Throw back to third. Hernandez gets back safely. 6-4 New York. Looked like a routine double play ball, but the Braves unable to turn it, and Santos comes home with the 6th run of the inning.
Well, the second baseman Infante right here, Keith, I think just a slight delay.
Yep, he did not rush it, and you got too much speed here and Pagan to give it the little take your time. Not that bad, really, but he should have got rid of it quicker, and then LaRoche compounds that error. He should never have tried to run the runner back to third. He had to get rid of it quicker.
Anderson Hernandez had taken the wide turn, but able to scramble back to keep the inning going. So now Luis Castillo, the 11th man up in the inning. Castillo single through the hole on the right side for the second hit of the 8th the Mets have strung together in this inning. A 6-run 4th, matching their biggest inning of the year. Pagan takes off, got an enormous jump. I mean, he was 4 strikes into his steal before Lowe came out of his stretch. By all rights, he should have been picked off.
Well, sometimes the pitcher's intent on going home, Ronnie, and it's tough to step off.
To me, watching Derek Lowe out after being the beginning of this inning, he just looks dazed and confused out there on the mound.
Led Zeppelin.
So 2 in scoring position now for Castillo. .39 pitches in this inning. Lowe has already faced 10 batters, now facing his 11th. And Louis takes a slider off the plate. 2-1. Well, if you've thrown a lot of pitches in an inning, Castillo's not going to give you any respite. Hernandez at third. And Pagan at second with 2 outs. 6 runs already home here in the 4th. That's at a 6-run inning against the Marlins back in April. They've matched that tonight. Pulled to the right side. Infante can't get it. Hernandez and Pagan score, and it's 8-4 New York. Well, Derek Lowe has not had a good inning, but his defense has not helped.
Absolutely.
That's a ball Infante should have had.
Absolutely. And that's going to be it. Castillo 3 for 3 on the night.
I mean, you got to at least dive for that ball and keep it on the infield.
Yes, you do.
But Castillo drives in a pair with his third hit of the game. Derek Lowe is done. The Mets have put together their biggest inning of the year, and it's not over yet. This pitching change brought to you by Lincoln Mercury.
He got flustered. You don't see a veteran get flustered like that very often. Wow.
Chris Medlin.
Chris Medlin.
It's a Medlin of his only hit.
He's had a few starts this year. He's a little right-hander. Good breaking ball. Good curve. Fifth starter at
8 or more. No, they had an 11-run inning in 06. The biggest inning ever was 06. They had 11 runs. Yeah.
And
so it's the biggest since that. Is that what you're telling me? Yeah, the Sunday night game in Chicago we didn't do. When Floyd and Beltran. It has been a stunning half inning for the New York Mets. They have 8 runs on the board, and Chris Medlin comes in to try and get the inning over.
Well, you see those games, 17 relief appearances. This will be his 18th. He started 4 games coming up, but now has been pushed to the bullpen. Good fastball, good overhand curveball for Mr. Medlin.
The Mets have 9 hits in the inning. Gary Sheffield drove in 2 runs with a double to right center. He is now the 12th man up in this 4th inning. The Mets' biggest inning in 3 years. The last time the Mets had an inning this big, it was when they set their club record with an 11-run inning in Chicago in July of 06. It was an inning in which Cliff Floyd and Carlos Beltran had grand slams. This one on Derek Lowe and his defense.
Well, we talked when this game started, and you can see he's just where did it go wrong?
Yeah, you're right.
Where did the wheels? When did they come off?
And Sheffield greets Medlin with a shot to the left field corner, a fair ball. Castillo ambles into third. Sheffield has his 2nd double of the inning. The 10th hit of the inning for New York. Amazing.
Well, right in. Oh boy! Look at that level swing on that high pitch by Sheffield. Middle in, high fastball. He just turned on it. Vicious swing. And hit too hard to score Castillo.
So 2 in scoring position now for Murphy, who made the first out of this inning, albeit a productive out when he grounded out to move Sheffield over to third. The Mets then rang up 5 straight hits after that. Pagan then hit what looked like an inning-ending double play, but beat the relay to first. And the Mets have tacked on a couple of runs since then. Murphy, the 13th batter of the inning.
You know, we talk so much about the inability of Infante Escobar to convert that double play, but we've got to get to Mr. Pagan. Great effort to get down that first base line. Not a good inning for Infante.
Inside to Murphy, 2-1. Well, Derek Lowe threw 41 pitches in the first 3 innings. He threw 41 pitches to get 2 outs here in the 4th. No wonder he's gassed. Two and 2 to Murphy. Daniels 1 for 2 on the night. Every Met in the lineup tonight, including the pitcher, has at least one hit. Heck, everybody but Murphy has a hit in this inning. 2-2. And it stays high. A full count to Murphy with Frank Cora on deck.
And Murphy's out was a productive out way back in the beginning of this inning. He got the advance the runner with no outs at second base, moved him over to third.
Where did this come from? 3-2 to Murphy. Struck him out and the inning is over. But the Mets send 13 men to the plate and put together their biggest inning in 3 years. 8 runs on 10 hits. Sheffield drove home 2. Frank Cora, Tatis, Hernandez, Pagan, and then Castillo got the last 2 in. 8-4 New York. Amazing. Well, Oliver Perez now staked to a 4-run lead. When he was last on the mound, he was down by 4 runs. How often does that happen?
He's a pretty good hitter last inning there.
Well, he couldn't get the bunt down in 2 tries. Chris Medlin, the pitcher, batting for the Braves, came on in relief of Derek Lowe. So it's an unexpected cornucopia for Oliver Perez. Now can he deal with?
Can he hold a lead?
Exactly. Can he deal with prosperity? It just missed. 1-2 to Medlin. Omar Infante and Adam LaRoche to follow here in the 5th. Foul back. It's amazing how baseball works sometimes. Sometimes when things look the absolute darkest, the most positive things happen.
Yes.
Here's a lineup that's completely bereft now of all of their core players, and they put up not only their best inning of the year, but their best inning in 3 years. In 2006, it seemed as though the Mets were putting up big innings every other day, and it was headed by that 11-run inning in Chicago, the most they have ever had in an inning in their 48 years. And that just misses, and it's 3-2 to Medlin. Right chorus saying, you could have done that. Strike 3 called. And Ollie finally gets young Mr. Medlin for the first out. 3rd strikeout for Perez. Let's check out the Outback trivia question. 6 National League players who spent 20 or more seasons with one team.
only one team?
Well, I don't know. Is it only one team, or is it 20 years with one team? We have to get clarification from our quizmaster.
I have one.
Okay, so 6 players who spent more than at least 20 years in the National League with one team and only that team.
Could it be if the team moved, same franchise?
Yes, yeah. So he's definitely on there.
Well, there was the guy who came back to New York to play for the Mets.
Yes.
Right. So we're saying I'm still unclear on the rules on this. Are these 6 players who only played for a single team, or could they have played for a second team and spent 20 years with one of those teams?
Yes.
The latter. Okay, so for instance, Willie Mays qualified.
How about Hank Aaron? That's a tougher one. I
don't think that Aaron played 20 years with the Braves before he went to the Brewers.
Not sure.
Came up with 54. Yeah, so he had to. Yeah, because he hit the 7th run when the
Lou Brock
was setting home run.
Did Lou Brock play 20 with the Cardinals?
Oh, but Musial did. Ball 4 to Infante, and so he's aboard. That's the first walk of the night for Oliver Perez.
Very interesting. Dan Wortham is on the phone, and I'll tell you what that comes from. That's frustration, going 3-2 on the pitcher and then striking them out and then walking Infante with this lead that he's been given. Mets, night in and night out, cannot take any chances with personal egos. If he can't get the job done, the bullpen is getting up.
And, you know, normally you'd say, well, you know, the Mets aren't going anywhere. Let's see what Ollie can do. But first of all, if you're not winning very many games, you have to grab for everyone you can. And also, you're playing a team that's in the race. So you owe it to everybody else in the race to play it to win. And Albert DeSenz is up in the bullpen. Adam LaRoche cranked a home run off the facing of the Pepsi porches. Only time up. And now Ollie, after walking Infante, is falling behind LaRoche 2-0. Now we have gotten a change from the quizmaster. He has clarified that we are talking only about players who played for only one team. So Mays does not qualify.
Aaron does not.
Aaron does not qualify. Okay, so back up and start the car again. So by the way, I've got a piece of history for you.
Okay.
The 10 hits that the Mets put together in that 8-run fourth, a new Mets club record.
Awesome.
First time in their 48-year history they've had 10 hits in one inning. The previous record had been 9, which was accomplished 4 different times.
That's great.
How about that with that depleted lineup down there?
About the last juncture of any season in which you would have expected that to happen. 2-0 to LaRoche, and that's a call strike, 2-1.
And it was a throwaway line because, you know, I've spent 10 seasons here, and I was like, Gary, I don't think I've ever seen 10 hits in a season. I mean, that's just crazy. Oh, that's good. I like seeing new records in the positive here for the 2009 Metropolitan.
Well, you're the one who always says, you know, something's never been done before.
It's huge. It's huge.
And I've been watching this team a long time.
Right?
And, you know, over the Mets' history, they've always been more about pitching than about offense. But let's face it, this is, with their big stars out, this is not the best offensive team the Mets have ever fielded. But you know, I was just thinking today with 44 games to go in a season where the Mets really don't have a lot to play for. The fact of the matter is, when you come to a ball game, you never know what you're going to see.
Yeah.
And here you go, something that no Met fan has ever seen before. 3-2. In there for a call, strike 3. So after falling behind 2-0, Oliver Perez gets a visit and comes back to strike out LaRoche, 2 down.
Well, you think Chipper's got maybe a 2-run home run in mind right here for 1 strike?
What do you mean by that, Keith? You mean a guy who's got power occasionally will know where he sits and will try to sit on one pitch and take a mighty swing?
He might do it for 2 strikes. You know, make it an 8-6 ball game. Try to make it an 8-6 game.
Chipper's 0 for 2 tonight. Rain delay in Philadelphia. And checking the radar.
Oh, gosh.
I'm headed this way.
Are you doing the weather again?
It's not yet an official game. Only needs one more out. I'm thinking about it in those terms. Badly misses, and it's 2-0 to Chipper.
And again, we've seen that is that when he is in the stretch, he does not have the delay. Most pitchers are missing up and outside to the right-handed hitter.
It's a big blob down there in Philly.
See, now you're talking radar. I think that blob stretches all the way back to Maryland.
Well, there was your home run stroke right there, Ronnie.
Well, he picked that shot. The ball might have been a little up, but he timed that fastball and just missed that pitch.
Yep. He might go for it again. It's not even close to Maryland, Garrett. Come on. Stop. You're pushing it.
It's close enough.
Look.
Close enough for our purposes.
Down at third base where Tatis handles it. And Oliver Perez, after a shaky middle to the inning, gets through it. We now have an official game at Citi Field. That's leading 8-4. Come on, I didn't cheat. Look. Well, if you missed the bottom of the fourth,
shame on you.
Yeah, missed history. Well, earlier today, having nothing to do with the 8-run inning, Billy Wagner threw a bullpen session, a hard one, preparatory to being activated later this week.
Looks good to me.
Billy throwing nice, free and easy. Looks good in that beard. That's usually his hunting beard later in the season, but got free and easy after the operation he went through. Yes, and congrats all around.
Maybe the biggest smile I've seen Dan Worth in a month and a half. Well, after watching Billy, let's check out the Toyota Text Poll. Do you think if he comes back and he's effective, the Mets should try to trade Billy Wagner? A for yes, B for no. Text your response to 57508 or visit SNY.TV. It's worth noting in that question that Billy has a complete no trade clause, so he would have to approve any deal. Jeff Francoeur leads off the home fifth and takes a strike.
And I think he would approve one if it was two contender guys. He was asked today, hey, you know, do you want to be the closer of this team? Can you handle being the setup man? He said, look, I'm just happy to be back. It's been 11 months. Frankie is the guy here. Next year, I want to close. So that was his mindset today after that session, guys.
In the short run, you know what team he fits best with right now? With J.C. Romero out with a bad shoulder.
Oh, could you imagine?
Back to Philly?
He's not going back there.
I'm just telling you.
Well, I mean, let's remember that he can veto any trade, and I don't think there's any part of Billy that wants to go back to Philadelphia.
I'm just saying, Romero's hurting and Lidge is lousy. There's another word for it.
Can I give you another thought?
Okay.
Here's the 0-2, 1 and 2 to
Sorry, Billy, I'm not trying to trade you.
How about
having fun?
How about the team in the Bronx? Phil Koch is the only lefty in that bullpen of any note.
Billy looked good in pinstripes. He does here. Jeez, here's another one.
Elmer descends, staying ready in the bullpen as Frank Gore muscles one into center field, and he's got his second hit of the night.
Boy, it's a hit parade.
Thirteen hits now for the Mets, and here's Tatis, who drove in a run in that big fourth inning. Here's Santos on deck.
Well, another important game up there on the board tonight is the Marlins. They're a 2-2 in the fourth against Houston, at Houston.
Oh, and 2 to Tatis. Gets him with a breaking ball for the first out of the inning. Second strikeout for Chris Medlin.
We talked about nice breaking ball here by Chris Medlin. Just the opposite of Lowe's tonight. He had that nice downward action, ball off the strike zone. Converted shortstop is Mr. Medlin. They love his makeup. When you look at him, he's kind of short in stature, but he's kind of a bulldog out there when he pitches.
Now Santos, who hit a bloop single in front of a sliding Ryan Church in the fourth inning.
A soft liner.
Okay.
You hitters are so sensitive.
I didn't call it a duck snipe. Do you think Medlin starches the bill of his hat?
Yeah.
Nice. I actually hate that look. That flat bill. You can serve breakfast on it. Fry an egg on it.
Breaking ball for a strike.
Hate's a little bit of a too strong a word.
Exactly.
Should save that for things that are of a little more import.
Yes, I dislike it. That's better.
Anderson Hernandez will be next. Frank Gore did a lot of running during his last trip on the bases. Eventually got picked off second base back in the second inning. And another good breaking ball by Medlin, 0-2. I would say that pickoff by Lowe and Frank Gore was probably the highlight of Derek Lowe's night.
Now watch out here. If McCann calls for a pitch away, watch out the sharp throw to first base. He would love to pick his buddy off at first, and Frank Gore can't afford to get picked off again.
And I think Luis Alicea may be reminding him of that. You know, your buddy would like to throw behind you if he can. Line into center field, and Santos has his second hit of the night. So the hits just keep on coming. 14 of them now in 4 1/3 innings for the Mets.
Wasn't that Y.A. Tittle's number? Hanging slider. Boy, oh boy, what an eruption.
Anderson Hernandez drove in a run with a 4th inning single. Derek Lowe got wrapped around for 8 runs and 11 hits in 3 2/3. Jeremy Reed out to bat for Oliver Perez on deck. First and second and 1 out, and Hernandez takes outside. Seems like Medlin's had a lot better command of his breaking stuff than of his fastball.
That's what you'll see from young pitchers sometimes. They're a little reticent to pop that fastball in there. He's got a good enough one to do that.
Yeah, nice changeup, Ron.
Yeah. Good changeup, good breaking ball.
He's got nice motion with the changeup. It doesn't give it away. It's a nice, easy, free motion. It's a good pitch.
1-1 to Hernandez. Taken high. And now 3-1. The Mets, for all their other offensive problems, began the night leading the National League in batting average with runners in scoring position, 283. Tonight, they've gone 6 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And a chance for Hernandez here. Ball 4, and the bases are loaded. First walk given up by Medlin. Well, your 5th inning recap is going to read a lot different than your 3rd inning recap would have. Bad start for Oliver Perez, a 3-run homer by Diaz, a solo homer by LaRoche, but then the Mets, out of the blue, put together 10 hits for the first time in their 48-year history to score 8 runs in the 4th inning. And now looking to add on here in the 5th, having knocked out Lowe in the 4th. Jeremy Reed up to pinch hit for Oliver Perez. With the bases loaded and 1 out.
Nice spot to be pinch hitting.
Reed hitting .333 as a pinch hitter. And he pops up the first pitch. Infield fly rule will be called. The batter is out. And Chipper Jones squeezes it 2 away. So 1 pitch and Reed retired. Now the bases loaded and 2 out. Reed beside himself.
He's beside himself, but I think all pinch hitters, Keith, when they get in there, they got to be aggressive. You got a first pitch fastball right down the middle and just missed it.
Oh, that's what he's upset about.
Yeah.
It was down the middle. It was a pitch to hit. You know, we've all done that a million times. It's like, gosh, oh, Mike, can I have that one back, please?
And now the situation that has plagued the Mets all year long. Bases loaded, 2 outs. You know what Mets have done with bases loaded and 2 outs this year?
I think you're going to tell me not a lot.
4 for 47. Pagan hits it to left center field. A long run back toward the gap, but Anderson gets there to end the inning. So the Mets leave them loaded in the bottom of the 5th. We head to the 6th. Elmer descends on in relief, 8-4 New York.
4:48.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico, by Audi, and by AT&T, your world delivered. Tonight after the postgame show, it's 30 minutes of highlights, analysis, and in-depth coverage of all things New York sports on Geico Sports Night tonight after the postgame and at 1 a.m. right here on SNY. Oh, there we are. Hi.
Hello.
Glad you could come join us in the booth. Well, we have an error to correct. A little mistake in the media guide. The Mets had an 8-run inning last year in Washington against the Nats in a 12-0 win on August the 13th of last year, 2008. That was their last 8-run inning.
Okay.
We apologize for the error.
But we'll just stay with the 10 hits. Okay?
10 hits is still a club record, so we can always go there.
Ronnie, what do you draw out of this? The descends coming in. However, a quick hook in the 5th.
I think that the manager and the pitching coach did not want to watch anymore, so they decided to go to Elmer Descends. And hey, listen, it's a great way. Oliver gave 4 runs in 5 innings. He's looking at a W, so that is a great thing. They want to go to Descends, who's going to throw some strikes. You know that, who pitched in yesterday's ball game, gave up no runs in an inning and 2/3.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think if the Mets had not loaded the bases as McCann drives one deep to left, Sheffield has to watch that one go off the wall, plays the carom beautifully. McCann pulls up and goes back. Now he's caught in no man's land. Castillo late throw, and McCann gets back. Well, everybody messed up on that play, except Gary Sheffield, who played it brilliantly.
He sure did. Nice bare hand off the wall. Strong throw in. Now, Louis backs to the play. He thinks it's going to be a close play.
But even once he realized it down on the knee, he hesitated on the throw. Otherwise, he might have had it.
McCann's got to get 2 here, doesn't he? Now, watch this. Skates. So we've seen everything today, haven't we?
It's been a wacko game. Well, that's a great play off the wall, though, by Sheffield.
Yes.
So McCann has his first hit of the night. It's at 3 ropes and finally has something to show for it. Now Escobar, who singled and scored back in the 2nd. I was going to ask you, at the bottom of the 5th, if the Mets hadn't loaded the bases, do you think Terry still would have taken Perez out, or do you think that he took him out to try and get some more runs?
I think that it was both cases, Gary, but I think that absolutely when you have a chance, that Jeremy Reed has been so outstanding as a pinch hitter, you got a shot at maybe padding that lead. The problem is that in Perez's last at bat, he had a base hit, so you know he's going to put the ball in play.
That's very much what Bruce Bochy did yesterday when he batted for Joe Martinez.
This is a different situation. I think I think Ronnie hit it in the head. I think Jerry's seen enough. I mean, he had Reed up very quickly. I mean, no matter what, it was going to happen.
Double play ball, backhand flip by Hernandez, and Castillo with the turn. 6-4-3, 2 out and nobody on. Time to check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Phillies getting a couple of runs in that bottom of the 3rd and still batting with 2 in scoring position. There's Garrett Anderson with 2 out and nobody on. So they brought Pedro back after the rain delay. Wasn't sure they were going to do that.
You remember earlier in the year, Philadelphia couldn't win at home. They've now evened their record at home at 29 and 29, and they were just horrendous earlier in the year.
Yeah, they were 12 or 14 games under 500 at some point.
And 37 and 20 on the road. They just got off a terrific road trip, 2 out of 3 in Atlanta, and a sweep of the Cubs, a sweep of 3.
You know, I TiVo'd Pedro's game, his last game where he pitched the 5 innings, and I was watching him very closely. The 94, the 93 mile an hour, it was an absolute lie.
A fudge?
A fudge. He was throwing more about 88, 87.
Frank Hurst settles under Anderson's fly ball. Elmer descends after giving up a leadoff hit, works through the 6th, and it's 8-4 Mets. let's answer our Aflac trivia question once we figured out what the question actually was. 6 National League players to spend 20 or more seasons and play for only one team. Musial's got to be one. I have no idea who the others are.
Okay, we're going Tony Gwynn, of course.
Biggio.
Pops.
Wow.
Willie.
And Biggio we should have gotten.
Should have got. We should have thought of Gwynn too.
Cap Anson was before my time.
Mine too.
Keith?
Before my time. I heard of him.
That would have been with the Cubs back in the 19th century. Well, Luis Castillo having himself another big day. 3 for 3. He scored 1. He's driven in 2. And it's only the 6th inning.
Got his average up to 308.
In this day of Google, we need to give the answer quicker, right?
Now you got Google Chrome.
But don't you like people getting the answer, or are you trying to stump?
No, I want them to get the answer, but by their own noodle, not getting help.
It's on their own conscience.
That's right.
I mean, you know, everybody's got their own standards as Louis goes down looking. When you do the Sunday Times crossword puzzle,
Yes.
you ever look up a word?
Look aboard, no. No.
No, neither do
Absolutely.
I, but some people do.
Some people even worse. They're all over that 900 number.
That's ridiculous. Paying for answers?
I'm telling you, I know people will do it.
Do you miss Eugene Maleska?
Oh, yes, he's my favorite.
You like him? Do you like him better than Will?
Of course, but
Will's good.
I
But
still.
Maleska was the classic.
I love Maleska. No offense, Will Short.
Eugene T.
Here's Sheffield, who's doubled twice, 2 doubles in 1 inning. The last Met with 2 extra base hits in 1 inning was Jeremy Burnitz, 2003, against the Braves here at Shea. He had a double and a homer in the same inning. So 6 years since Met had 2 extra base hits in the same inning until Sheffield did it tonight. Did you guys notice? I said here at Shea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the reason I'm not addressing it
Why?
is because we've had a little hard time locating our finds.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that we might have misappropriated funds?
I
Corruption everywhere.
I think that we have. We're having a little problem, but we're going to find it.
Wait a second. Are you saying that if I drop my 20 back in the kitty, it might disappear?
I don't. I'm just saying that we're going to change hiding places.
Sheffield down looking. Back-to-back strikeouts from Medlin, and now has 4 strikeouts inwardly.
Back-to-back called 3rd strikes.
Oh, fastball there. When he throws his fastball to spots, especially Medlin, he's got good enough stuff to be a good long reliever. 5th starter maybe in this league.
I'm still concerned about the scandal here in the booth.
I'm going to take care of it because
Over public funds.
I'll fill this place with uppercuts. People start messing with that.
You're gonna call the muscle?
Yeah, I will. I know people. I'm telling you.
All right, whoever it was, put it back. Murphy fouls one off, and it's 0-2. This money's supposed to be going to charity, remember?
Come on. I thought it was going to go for a dinner. When the season's over, the 3 of us.
No, it's going to charity, and because we're giving money to charity, SNY is going to take us out to dinner. How's that sound? Okay?
Okay. You hear that, Kurt, Mr. Gowdy?
0-2 from Medlin. Struck him out. Medlin strikes out the side. McCann makes the toss to complete the putout, and we've played 6. Mets up by 4.
We're fine.
Time for our Dunkin' Donuts Ask the Booth. I can only imagine. Sammy from Bensonhurst wants to know, Ronnie and Keith, what was the difference between your pregame routine for a day game as opposed to a night game? See, I thought they were going to ask who was suspected of stealing the money.
Well, Sam, the only difference was in the day game, I took a couple aspirin. Night games, I didn't need an aspirin. Just kidding. The same routine. I always had the same routine. I'll say one thing. Whitey Herzog was a rule with Whitey Herzog with the Cardinals that we always took BP and infield every day game. He said never expect a day game after a night game not to have BP and an infield, because that's the game. If you don't go out there and loosen up, that's the game you're going to get hurt. But most likely to get hurt, pull a muscle. I thought it was a great rule.
Manny Acosta up in the Braves bullpen.
Well, I think what happens is really after a night game with a night game the next day, that you're wound up, so you'll stay up for a couple of hours. But most players are night game, day game the next day, off the bus, straight to your room service, and try to get 8 hours in.
Now, these days, for night games, players get to the ballpark at absurdly early hours, 1, 2 o'clock often. For day games, they'll get to the ballpark 2 hours before the game. Now, back in your day, was it more of a we were arriving at the ballpark as an everyday player at a similar time, 2-3 hours before the game, or
on the road? I took the bus,
so it's 2.5 hours before the game.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a ballpark rat.
But you did that day game or night game?
Yes, day games I always took the bus because it was just an early morning and you're used to sleeping late.
Yeah,
because you're on night schedule, not because you're out late. I mean, you're just playing night games and all of a sudden you're going to get a day game on Sunday and you're used to sleeping until 10, 11, 12 o'clock, and all of a sudden you got to get up at 8.
Diaz down swinging, and DeSenz has his first strikeout. One away.
And as you guys know, as you watch this good breaking pitch from Elmer. Oh, changeup. I take that back. Nice changeup. And if you're the starting pitcher, I was just the opposite. I always like to get there early on the day game, just to get there, take my time, get ready for the game, try to do all the things you have to do, limber up, stretch, all those different things. But I didn't like getting there too late on a day game.
Now, when you started a day game, if there was a night game the night before, did you ever go home before the game ended?
Yes, you could. I didn't usually. If the game was one of those that started getting extra innings and now you're talking about 11, 12 o'clock or so, then maybe I'd go. But I like to stay at the game. You want to be part of the team.
Murphy handles the grounder, and Church retired for the second out. Church not running real well. Yeah, they're 2 away. So now Greg Norton will pinch hit for Chris Medlin. He did a nice job in long relief.
Well, he is having a tough year. Norton, he's their primary pinch hitter, the switch hitting Norton. And you see the 136 batting average. 308 against lefties, 087 against righties. Also 8 for 51 as a pinch hitter.
It's not very good when your primary job is pinch hitting.
And he had such a fine year for them last year. So
obviously a better right-hand hitter than left.
So what you're saying is so far this year, Norton has hit more like Crandon.
There we go.
I thought you were going to say more like Alex.
To Norton, and he drives that one into right center field. That's more Norton-esque, and he's got himself a pinch hit single. Well, as you know, this Saturday night, Mets are going to be honoring the 1969 World Champions, and we're going to start getting ready for that tomorrow night as Joan Hodges, Gil's widow, and Gil Hodges Jr. will join us here in the booth to talk about the 40th anniversary and some of their memories of 1969 when the Mets, led by the wonderful skipper Gil Hodges, shocked the world. And we'll have more special guests as the week goes along, culminating in Saturday night's reunion. Peter Moylan, the side armor, gets up alongside Acosta in the Braves bullpen.
I've had the opportunity to spend a few times with Joe Jr. and Joan Hodges, and they are just delightful people. Can't wait to see them here in the booth as they relay all the wonderful things not only she and her son do, but also those 69 Mets. They do a lot of things for charity, do a lot of things for people, and still are beloved by the people that are Mets fans.
Well, Joan Hodges, whenever she's introduced at any Mets event, gets an enormous ovation.
She's, there's only a few, but she's part of the royalty. Whoever's the royalty here, that certainly is one. Joan is amongst them.
2-0, and Infante takes a strike.
Joan Hodges paid me a wonderful compliment years ago. She said, "There's only one other first baseman that played better than you." And that was my husband.
Oh,
that was a wonderful compliment.
That would have made Gil the best right-handed first baseman.
There you go.
And you the best left-handed first baseman. Speaking of first baseman, Adam LaRoche on deck. Elmer descends, trying to complete a second inning of relief behind Oliver Perez. And Infante down swinging to end the inning. Elmer descends with his second strikeout. 2 scoreless innings for Descends in relief. 7th inning stretch. Ends up 8-4.
Nice job, Elmer.
Mets lead at 8-4 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. If you want to get all the latest from Jets camp in Cortland with an insider look at player conditions, position battles, and exclusive interviews as Gang Green gears up for the 09 season, thankfully without Brett Favre, there's a place for that. SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports.
Be nice. Be nice.
Hope he has fun in Minnesota. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Guys, I caught up with Ryan Church today and just asked him what he offered David right in that conversation after David got hit in the head by Matt Cain about the concussions. And he said, well, I called him right away Saturday night as soon as I saw it. And I had a lot of different messages for him, but the biggest one was don't be a hero. Even if you feel better, go on the DL, rest, let it get out of your system. Said I ran down a whole bunch of symptoms on Sunday, and the good news is he didn't have a lot of the things that I had. The biggest thing that I had is I felt like I was always on a boat, always rocking back and forth, and I felt that way for a long time. And David didn't have that. He said, I stressed him, listen, call me anytime, call me all the time. I'll help talk you through it. And I think that's a pretty good job of being a teammate, even when he's no longer a teammate, guys.
Manny Acosta pitching for the Braves. Kevin, what was your take today on the back and forth between Ryan Church and Jerry Manuel?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't there for the first part of Ryan Church as Frank Core drives one deep to left and drives one off the wall. Going to be tough to go for two here, but he will make it easily. Garrett, you know, I wasn't there for Church's initial reaction, but I did catch up with Ryan later, as I said, and I asked him about it, and he said, you know, to be honest with you, it did feel like a jab. When I saw the comment, it did feel like a little jab, and I'm just so past that I was just surprised that it came out that way. You know, whether Jerry meant that way or it just sounded that way, you know, I don't know. I think it's time to let all that pass. Obviously, those two didn't get along all the best, that's for sure.
And what we're referring to is the fact that you know, the other day after David Wright was hit and Jerry was speculating about whether he would be able to come back, he said, you know, David's a different person, a different animal than Ryan Church, and it came out sounding like he was dissing Ryan, and I think Ryan took exception to that. And Jerry kind of tried to apologize today after he heard that Ryan took offense, but then kind of I don't know, kind of stepped in it again.
Well, I think that Kevin made a nice comment there that this has no place in anything anymore. I like that Church and David are going to be able to communicate if David has any complications. But I think at some point the day came out to Ryan and others that one is a gamer and one was not. And that is, if you're a baseball player, those are fighting words. Dukes go up. And that was the problem.
I couldn't agree with you more. I thought it was a inappropriate comment.
And even today, rather than just saying, well, you know, I really apologize, I didn't mean it that way, and letting that be it, Jerry tried to explain it more, and in some ways I don't think he helped himself.
Well, I think in some ways the entire organization is very sensitive to the concussion problem that happened to Ryan Church last year, and to me, what happened last year happened. If there was any miscommunication, that could happen.
Tatis low bridges Acosta, and he has his second hit of the night. First and third and nobody out. Well, let's go back and listen today to what Ryan Church had to say about the comments that Jerry made on Sunday.
Why would he say it, you know, to the media? Why not, you know, to me? You know, he had plenty of time. If he had a problem with me, he had plenty of time when I was over there wearing that uniform. But, you know, I kind of felt like, hey, it was a personal jab. I don't hate him. I mean, at the time, yeah, he made me mad, but, you know, it's water on the bridge. Just let it go. I'm a man. He's a man. We're, you know, professional. I'll act professional about it. Just go out and beat him. That's all you can do.
Fair enough.
Here's Santos with the infield in.
A 16-hit attack.
Mets have had as many as 17 hits in a game this year. Did that back in May against the Pirates. Santos chases the breaking ball, and it's 0-2. Pedro Feliciano getting ready in the Mets bullpen after two very strong innings of relief by Elmer Descends. Anyway, the bottom line with Jerry Manuel and Ryan Church, everybody needs to move on.
Yeah.
Pulled down to third. Chipper has it. Jumping throw home and hits the runner. And Frank Kirk comes in to score. 9-4 New York.
Well, when it rains, it pours. Everything going the Mets' way here. Chipper's momentum carries him into the line. And that shouldn't be an error. That should be a fielder's choice and an RBI.
Well, did Chipper have another play?
I think he had another play for an out, Gary, but he did not have another play. And late in the game, down by 4 runs, trying to keep your team in it. Take a shot.
They had the infield in, but they had him playing in to cut off that run.
And so they will score at a fielder's choice. RBI for Santos is 29th. Still nobody out of the inning. Now Anderson Hernandez lines one into center field, and Church coming on to grab it. Turks playing shallow against Anderson Hernandez, and that served him well. 1 out.
Murderer's row here.
I mean, think of how many balls have been hit right on the nose that have been out tonight, combined with the 23 hits combined by both ball clubs.
So Hernandez denied his second hit of the night. Now Andy Green will come up to pinch hit. Green made his Mets debut last night and walked as a pinch hitter. A 32-year-old journeyman who played for the Diamondbacks for a few seasons. Called up when David Wright went on the DL. And Green takes a letter high strike. Three hits apiece for Castillo and Francoeur. 2 RBIs apiece for Castillo and Sheffield. It's been everybody contributes kind of a night for the Mets offense. Tatis and Santos aboard with 1 out.
This against a starting pitcher, starting staff of Braves that have been so hard, and the starting pitcher was looking for a 6th straight win.
Derek Lowe got tagged for 8 runs and 11 hits over 3 2/3. Chris Medlin went 2 1/3 in relief. No runs, 3 hits, 5 strikeouts. But now Acosta getting accosted in the bottom of the 7th. Most people listening probably won't understand this, but when I put Manny Acosta's name in my scorecard,
yes,
I first wrote down Rolando Acosta.
Of course.
Great pitcher of Colombia.
Great pitcher of Colombia that I faced. I think I was a freshman when he was a senior, but he probably maybe the best pitcher that ever pitched at Colombia. Well, maybe the 2nd or 3rd best pitcher that ever pitched at Colombia. Is Matheson a Columbia grad?
Frank Seminara.
Seminara.
No, we don't claim Christy Matthews.
We don't.
Only Lou Gehrig.
That's a good one to claim.
3-2 to Andy Green. And a breaking ball, strike 3 call. So Green down looking for the 2nd out.
Well, this curveball is meant to be on the outside corner, and it just kind of stays there on the inside corner. And that'll usually freeze a hitter. And you just go, you know, the pitcher didn't mean to throw it there, and you go, you lucky son of a gun.
Yeah, it's a mistake pitch by the pitcher that gets you because of that mistake.
So now Angel Pagan, who is 1 for 4 on the night. He's scored 2. He's stolen a base. He's driven in 1. Dave Freed points out Christy Mathewson, Bucknell.
Yeah.
Yohan Santana will pitch the final game of this series on Thursday night against Kenshin Kawakami. Tomorrow night, Bobby Parnell comes off the brilliant outing. His last start against the Giants goes up against Jair Jurgens. 1-1 to Pagan.
Yeah, another nice crowd tonight at the ballpark.
It was kind of a strange crowd because when we first looked out in the first inning, I thought to myself, boy, it's going to be a smallish crowd, and they have filled the place.
They're always milling about before the game.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
No more watching the players take BP.
Or infield. Oh, that's right.
You want to see infield, you got to get here at 3.
That's true. Infield used to be the last thing before the grounds crew got the field ready. Now it's the first thing before anybody gets it when they take it.
There's a lot of hum babes and all that kind of stuff as the guys would show off their skills throwing the ball around the bases. Sometimes it wasn't always your starters. Sometimes the second guys on the bench would take infield.
As a kid, it was my favorite thing to watch in the game routine. Pagan pops one up behind the plate. Does McCann have room? Oh! But he overran it. Wow. There's not much room back behind the plate, so McCann went as far as he could, and that turned out to be too far.
Boy, it just looks like the Braves have just gone flat.
you know, it's interesting. Sometimes knowing how to play the game right costs you. He knows that what you're supposed to do is run back to the netting and work your way back, but because there's such a short distance here, you really just have to go halfway back, and that ball will work back to you.
They're charging error to McCann, prolonging the time at bat. 1-2 to Pagan. And he loops one to shallow center. On comes Church. Side retired. Mets tack on a run on 2 hits. 7 in the books. 9-4 Mets. Take the train to Citi Field as the series with the Braves continues tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. Mass transit is the faster, easier, and greener way to Citi Field. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Young talent honing their skills. Oh, that's a shot. I think he cleared the wall. Pedro Feliciano comes on to pitch the 8th inning for New York.
Almost every day. Pedro pitched a couple days ago, 3rd of an inning. Saying to yourself, with his big lead, why would Pedro be in the game? Well, you know what? He's got to go through the meat of this order. Jerry feeling that does not want to give this Brave team any whiff of this game, so has one of his best relievers in the game.
And you got the lefty Adam LaRoche leading off as Boone Logan gets up in the bullpen. Then the switch hitting Chipper Jones, and then the other big left-handed bat of Brian McCann. LaRoche homeward off the facing of the Pepsi porch in the 3rd inning. At the time, it gave the Braves a 4-0 lead. And it looked as though this was going to be one of those nights for Oliver Perez and the Mets. But then the Mets scored 8 runs in the bottom of the 4th inning, banging out 10 hits, a club record for a single inning. And the game completely turned within the space of 3 outs. 1-1 to LaRoche, who did not start tonight. Martin Prado started, batted at the top of the 1st, but then suffered the onset of headaches, which have been plaguing him over the weekend, and plagued him again. Pulled toward the right field corner, but that'll go foul. And Prado was forced to leave the game after the top of the 1st. And you have to believe that the disabled list is a strong possibility for Martin Prado.
The wind's picking up. Clouds going. What we got coming in?
We got a lot of rain. It's covering Elizabeth right now. It's on the way. Play fast. 1-2 to LaRoche. And Feliciano misses with a slider.
But the big blob looks like it's south of us. Let's hope it just goes south.
Root all you want. It's going to do what it wants. Struck him out. Feliciano gets LaRoche to start the 8th inning. 7 strikeouts for Met pitchers tonight. Time to check in with the studio and Chris Carlin, who has much more than the weather forecast. A New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. right, thanks, Chris. Now Chipper Jones steps in against Pedro Feliciano, takes low and away. The Brewers lost again tonight. Whatever happened to them?
Their pitching went south.
Prince Fielder hit his 32nd. Lastings Milledge hit his first of the year for Pittsburgh. Pirates win 5-2.
Well, there was some cleaning house. I'm sure you guys addressed it in last couple of days there in Milwaukee with J.J. Hardy, their everyday shortstop, gone.
A little lightning in the background as the storm makes its way in. Well, they fired the pitching coach, Will Castro, in Milwaukee. 3-0 now to Chipper.
See, that is a final up in Colorado. Hung on and barely won that game 4-3. Washington scored 2 in the 9th and had first and third 2 outs and got the final out.
Zimmerman lined out to end that game. And there's ball 4. So Feliciano walks Chipper Jones on 4 pitches. Only the second walk tonight for a Mets pitching staff that has issued the most walks in the National League. Brian Stokes, who has been brilliant lately up in the Mets bullpen. So Colorado with the win will keep the wild card lead for another day. They started the day a game in front of the Giants, 2 up on the Marlins and 3 up on the Braves. Giants are 5-5 in the 9th in Cincinnati.
Florida now 5-2 in the bottom of the 6th of Houston ahead. It's scoreboard watching time.
McCann's hit the ball hard 3 times in a row, just 1 for 3 on the night. He lined out to center field with Pagan making a diving catch. He lined hard to right field where Frank Burr grabbed it, and then he singled off the wall and left and almost got thrown out trying to get back to first. Rounds 1 toward the hole. Anderson Hernandez with a beautiful move to his right starts the 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. Neatly done by Hernandez to get Feliciano through the top of the 8th with the Mets up 9-4. Well, here are the results of our Toyota Text Bowl. Well, if Billy says buy, the fans say buy too. Should the Mets try to trade him? 2/3 of you say yeah.
Well, don't worry, you New York fans, because this is a secret ballot.
We won't out you. Well, you see the wind starting to pick up. Oh, lightning. It's on its way, folks.
6 outs.
There are, 6 outs. And Boone Logan will try and get 3 of them for the Braves.
But Boone Logan, who came over from the Chicago White Sox with Javier Vasquez, who has been outstanding for the Braves this year. From San Antonio, Texas, is this left-hander.
Luis Castillo's had another big night, 3 for 4. He's scored 1. He's driven in 2. Castillo, then Sheffield and Murphy for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. Mets scored 8 runs in the 4th inning, their biggest inning of the year, and the first time in Mets history that the Mets had 10 hits in 1 inning. Castillo had 2 hits in that big 4th inning. So did Sheffield, who had 2 doubles. First Met player to get 2 extra base hits in an inning in 6 years. Castillo batting from his power side. He won the second deck in left field the other day. Grounds this one to short. And Escobar makes the play, 1 out. Now Sheffield 2 for 4 on the night. Double to right center to drive in the first 2 Met runs, and then double to left. Tomorrow night at 6:30, Bobby Parnell takes the mound against Jair Jurgens as the Mets continue the series against the Braves here at Citi Field. Mets-Braves coverage begins. KFC pregame live tomorrow at 6:30, only on SNY. What can Parnell do for an encore after a tremendous outing against the Giants? Sheffield grounds one to the right side, and he has his 3rd hit of the night. Well, Omar Infante has not shown any range at all at second base tonight.
No, he has not.
Gary's saying thank you very much.
More impressively is that Gary has hit the ball twice in the opposite field.
So now Daniel Murphy is 1 for 4 and had the unenviable task of making 2 outs in 1 inning in the 4th. Mets now with 17 hits, matching their season high, as Brian Stokes gets ready to pitch the 9th inning.
Well, one thing about Joe West, the home plate umpire, anything close, unless he's mad at the pitcher, it's going to be a strike.
Why should that matter? Maybe Joe West mad at you?
I knew not to get Joe West mad at me. I complained to him a few times on some close calls, and and I never pushed the envelope with Joe.
I know that Dennis Cook and Joe don't exchange Christmas cards.
Well, that's because he picked Dennis off a pile during a fight and slammed him down to the ground. Oh, boy. That flare. Chipper gloves and throws out Murphy.
Well, that's a saw. Ouch. Stayed inside on Murph here, and that's what you got to do. Upstairs, too.
Lumber liquidated.
Oh, well.
So here's Jeff Francoeur, who has certainly enjoyed his night against his old mates. A single, 2 doubles, 2 runs scored, a run batted in. Sheffield at second with 2 down. 9-4 New York, 8th inning.
That airplane that just took off got out of Dodge just in time.
Good sign they're still taking off.
Yep. Ronnie, did your lovely bride, Joanne, just text you and say that it's pretty wicked?
She said, hope your game is almost over. She's in Manhattan. Thunderstorm coming your way.
Yep. 1-1 to Francoeur.
This Boone Logan has that ERA over 5. He's got a nice arm.
He's one of those guys, I bet you he's just erratic with his control.
Sometimes, Keith, it's these young guys, they don't even know how good their stuff is.
Just turned 25 years old.
I'm a youngster.
1-2 to Francoeur. Tip held by McCann. 96-mile-an-hour fastball from Logan. Strikes out Francoeur. Now it's on to the 9th, with the Mets up 9-4. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Lexus. By Toshiba. And by Corona. Enjoy responsibly. Corey Sullivan comes in to play left field. He'll bat ninth, and on to pitch the ninth inning for the Mets is Brian Stokes, who has been red hot.
He really has. He's pitched a couple nights ago, a third of an inning, but Brian Stokes has held opponents hitless in their last 16 at-bats against him with runners in scoring position. The only one to have hitless streak that long is Johan Santana, 19 at-bats and 17 at-bats.
Fidel Escobar, Garrett Anderson, and Matt Diaz, the three scheduled hitters for the Braves here in the top of the ninth. Escobar 1 for 3 and first pitch swinging down by 5 runs in the ninth. He fouls it off. Tomorrow night we join you at 6:30 with the pregame coverage. Bobby Parnell looking to back up his 6 terrific innings in his last start. Goes up against Jair Jurgens. And the wrap should be just about off Parnell after he threw 86 pitches in that last outing.
So 95 to 100 this time, maybe.
6 innings of work, as Gary said. Only 3 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts.
Garrett Anderson on deck for the Braves, who had a 4-0 lead in this game, only to see the Mets score 8 times in the 4th inning. Big hop for Castillo, and Escobar retired for the first out. Right after we're done here, join Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda for all of tonight's highlights, exclusive interviews. You'll hear from most of the Mets who had those 10 hits in the 4th inning. Jerry's postgame reactions as well on Lincoln Mercury postgame live right after tonight's game and after all 162 Met games right here on SNY. Garrett Anderson up with 1 out in the ninth. Anderson 1 for 3, singled and scored back in the second. Braves got a 3-run homer from Diaz in the second, a solo shot from LaRoche in the third, led 4-0 before the Mets put together their unlikely barrage in the 4th. Mets have come from as many as 5 runs down to win a game this year. They did that against the Pirates back in June.
You know, this is not to say that he's not going to have a hiccup every once in a while. But it's nice to see an emergence of a relief pitcher. It's almost like his confidence level grows up. He looks about 1.5 inches taller. It's just amazing to watch a guy when he starts to feel comfortable with his own stuff in tight situation. Now, this look he's in a tight situation. But this is a different Brian Stokes than pitched in the beginning of the year.
1-2. Driven toward left center field. Sullivan chasing back. Can't get to it. Anderson heads for second and in easily with a 1-out double. There's your AT&T high speed for the pitchers currently in the game. Stokes is topped out at 97 and Boone Logan at 96. Braves have their 8th hit of the game, and now Diaz, who has 2 of them, a 3-run homer and an infield hit. Is Frankie Rodriguez going to start throwing?
You've got to take him when you can get him right now.
Braves would need 2 more base runners to create a save situation, and Frankie will start to get loose as Diaz takes ball 1.
Brilliant young PR man at SNY, Andrew Figueres, just texted me and said it's pouring in the city.
Play fast, boys. Tatis near the bag. The long throw to make just in time to get Diaz for the second out. So Brian Stokes with 1 more out left to obtain.
And as players, folks, we have no idea when you're playing. You have no idea the weather report probably, and so there's no,
sense of urgency.
It's urgent. Thank you, Ron. And your game's already in. When it's the 5th inning and you're trying to get a complete game, you're very much aware.
Managers might get a word from the grounds crew because the grounds crew has the best weather report. Ryan Church, final hope for the Braves. 0 for 3 tonight, 3 ground balls to the right side. So in the battle of the outfielders traded for one another, Francoeur has much had the upper hand tonight.
In our day, there was no computer. You only knew it was going to rain because Pete Flynn said it was going to rain. I said, Pete, how do you know? I'm from Ireland. You know when it's going to rain.
1-1 to Church.
Well, didn't they used to always get their information from LaGuardia from the tower?
I think they still do. Gummy Johnson has come out on deck. He'll pinch hit if Church can keep it going for the Braves. There's Kelly. And Church fouls it off, and now the Braves are down to their final strength. Should I keep warming up? I don't think so. Shut it down. 38,613 ready to explode. 2-2 to Church. Hangs in there. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Brian Stubbs puts on the finishing touches on a night when the Mets made club history with 10 hits in the 4th inning, producing an 8-run inning, their largest of the season, and they come from 4 runs down as Jeff Francoeur helps beat his old team 9-4.
Well, Stubbs continues his fine play. Francoeur against his old teammates with 3 hits. Mets, the offense really, Keith, was the story tonight.
Well, you know, the Mets in the position they're in, Ron, they could have laid down and died down 4 runs, and they showed some pluck. And here comes the rain out of nowhere, right on time, as you see the Mets with 17 hits and 9 runs.
Not only a victory, but perfect timing for the Mets as they get it done right before the deluge. Oliver Perez gets his 3rd win. Derek Lowe takes it on the chin. Mets win. We'll be right back.